Again, the email to send if you're interested is California Leadership at republicoftheunitedstates.org. Now, I introduced this guy before, and he wasn't on the phone. And I did an introduction that I wanted him to hear because he's a special buddy of mine. I like this guy a lot. I don't have enough kind words to say about a man that will stand up for the people and be willing to face things that most people have been running from their whole life. So without further ado, I would like to introduce one of my very good friends. I have a feeling I'm going to know this guy for a long, long time, and we're going to go through a lot together. And I'm very proud to say I know him, Justice William, better known as Billy Faust. He's the Arizona Justice. Go ahead, Billy. I yield the floor.
Hey, thanks, Kelby. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
I hope you're doing well. I got a couple of things I'd like to share with everybody out there without going into too much detail. I got hooked up with a speeding ticket in July 1st, and it just finished on December. Let me think about this. I believe it was December 3rd. I had to go back for sentencing, but I can go to the end of the story real quick. The judge showed me the record of hours that they spent. 267 hours responding to my paperwork at $200 an hour. If anybody's got a calculator, that's a bunch. But found out a couple of things along the way, and I'd like to read a couple of things that I found that I think will help out with understanding that card that we have now, that identification. And this I found on Benedict on Admiralty. It's called Admiralty Law Title 22, Foreign Relations. When I first read this, I thought this had to do with foreign countries, but it does. The foreign country actually is the United States. Subchapter 1, Shipping and Seamen, Part 81, General 22 CFR, subsection 81.1, Definitions. And you can find this pretty much anywhere if you look up vessels. B has to do with American vessel, means any United States-owned vessel which is not registered under the laws of a foreign government, vessels of the United States, and American undocumented vessels. Right now, if you're a sovereign or you have moved into a realm of secured party creditor, you are an American undocumented vessel, technically. And I think if Nathan's listening to this, he can probably get into a more technical term or untechnical. But the Bible says we're vessels. And a lot of people read this and they think it has to do with ships transporting oil from Saudi to America or from Japan to here. You're a vessel. And they've listed you as a vessel. And if you look at the United States dictionary, what they use for determining what a vessel is, it's pretty explanatory. It says a vessel is spelled in all capital letters. And that sounds a lot like your driver's license or your Social Security card, or when you get to court and have a traffic ticket. So that all capital letters is a vessel. And what it's really trying to say here is who they own. It says American vessel means any United States owned vessel. So they're claiming ownership. And we all know how they got that ownership. It started with the marriage license all the way down to your birth certificate. Your mother basically abandoned you, and the state picked you up as theirs. And if you don't believe this, please do some checking because it's all there for you to find. The third thing, it says vessel of the United States means any vessel documented under the laws of the United States. Now, I'm tired of being documented under the laws of the United States. So I set out on July 1st to prove a point and to make some waves. And I showed up in this little court in Utah, and a couple of friends that I have in Utah told me that Utah is one of the most corrupt states in the world. They said the world. And I said, well, I'm in pretty good shape here. I've got some good documentation. I've got my paperwork. I filed some pretty good stuff into the court. And they should be dismissing my ticket any day now. And I've had some really good success in other courts, great success in Arizona, had some good success in California. I've had some good success with other people that I helped out in Colorado and New Mexico. But something wasn't right with this case. And just about a week before the trial, I find out a few things, and I'm already in pretty deep in this case. But it's called the black market. It's called the black market court. What that means is this court has nothing to do with justice. It has nothing to do with laws. It has nothing to do with the Constitution. It has nothing to do with the judge that has taken an oath that's sitting on the bench. It has nothing to do with any of that. What it has to do with is getting your money, taking your money and scaring you into giving you a lapse, and I'm going to say this, a lapse of reasoning. Anyway, I find out almost too late into this thing that the judge, if you pull up this court on manta.com, I'm going to give that out again, M-A-N-T-A, manta.com. I'll pull up this court, and if you'd like to, I'll give you the name of the court. Manta.com, you pull up Kane, spelled with a K, K-A-N-E, Kane County Justice Court. It lists it as a corporation, private corporation for profit, acting as a government agency, and it says that the court judge is actually a manager for the corporation. That's how come when he sent a oath of office through the mail to one of the common law jury members that was there, that was supporting me, I took in 27 people to listen to this case. He sent across state line a document that was basically fraud. There was no seal from the state on it. There was no witness oath of office tied to the back of it, and it was basically a cartoon picture out of a cartoon book that your children would color. And I thought I had this guy. No oath of office. Been sitting on the bench for 20 years as a judge in this town. And I found out just a little bit into the deal that a court of no record means that there's no record. There's nothing that ever took place there. And I got to tell you, these guys were angry with me. They spent a lot of time back and forth, but they just kept moving forward, one hearing after the next hearing. I even told the judge if he didn't have a claim signed by two people under penalty of perjury, and my business was done there, and I'd be leaving. And I did. I packed up my briefcase, and I walked out. Only to get another letter in the mail saying that you showed up and gave us jurisdiction the last time. You need to show up and give us jurisdiction this time. And I didn't show up the next time. I told them if they didn't send me a subpoena, I wasn't coming. So they sent me a subpoena. On and on it goes, and I get right down to the last thing, and I actually get the highway patrolman under oath to testify that he followed me while I was traveling in a car, and that I was traveling in a car over the posted speed limit. Now, if anybody knows the Constitution, we have the right to travel unfettered. We have the right to privacy, and we have the right to freedom of speech. And this guy violated all that. So, needless to say, at the end of the trial, without any really outbreak, nothing was going on, nothing was important, nothing was said that was that would even mean contempt of court had been taken by the judge. He said contempt of court, put you in jail for 5 days, and that was it. Jailers came and picked me up and hauled me off into jail for 5 days. My first name became Under, and my second name became Duress for everything that I find in that jail. That night I filed into the court a writ of habeas corpus. On Monday morning when the judge came in thinking I might have a little calmer attitude after spending the weekend in jail, he gets to his desk and sees a habeas corpus landed right on the middle of his desk, and I'd filed it and sent it in with a piece of paper that somebody had snuck me into jail and a pencil that I borrowed from another inmate about 50 yards away. I don't know what he thought about that, but he wrote me a letter, and this is what he said. This court does not have jurisdiction to hear a writ of habeas corpus. And I said to the jailer, if he didn't have the jurisdiction to hear a writ of habeas corpus, he could not possibly have had the jurisdiction to throw me in jail. Anyway, I finished out my time there and got out, and we got together with several people and started figuring out what we're going to do. And I had to come back for what we call a sentencing. But I want to read this into you guys' ideas. A court of record is one that has a seal, and it possesses the power to impose fines, and it also can put you into a prison for contempt. It keeps a record of all the proceedings from the minute you walk up to the window to the minute you leave after you pay or you get your court case thrown out. The tribunal is independent of the magistrate or the judge, which means that you have a separate case that can be heard and on appeal. Now, if you look up the word court of no record, it says just the opposite of that. It says courts not of record are an inferior dignity, which have no power to fine or imprison, in which the proceedings are not enrolled or recorded, and they don't have the right or the power to imprison for contempt. Now, this judge told me 5 times that it was a court of no record during the, I guess you call it the hearings. So when I got set for the trial, I thought all of a sudden somehow this was going to be a court of record. And in the middle of the proceedings, I said to the judge, to the manager of the corporation, for the record, I would like you to enter in this document. And he said, Mr. Faust, I've told you 5 times this is not a court of record. And I said to myself, oh no, I'm in big trouble. Anyway, I want to give you guys some advice if you're listening tonight. If you get a speeding ticket, first thing you need to ask, is this a court of record? If it isn't a court of record, you need to appeal to a superior court of record immediately. You don't have to wait till the case is over. You don't have to wait until you enter in any idea of a plea, and you need to, discuss that with somebody that understands that plea. Because if you give them jurisdiction for any reason, you are now theirs. And you are not in a court of law, and they are not going to treat you fairly because there are no laws. It's called statutory law. You can throw the law right off the back of it because it's statutory. It comes from the word statutes, and I believe that word came from the word statue. And if you want to look up in the Bible what it says about statues, we know what we're to do with those. Anyway, I went back for sentencing knowing that I'd already entered in so far into jurisdiction that I was in big trouble. And I mean that by the sense that the judge already told me that the maximum sentence was 90 days in jail. He already told the sheriff, which the sheriff had already blabbed around town what they were going to do to me. So I walked into that court, and I listened to the small, still voice in my heart, as a good friend of mine from Salt Lake told me to do. And the judge said, your maximum fine is $1,100 and 90 days in jail. And you have one time here to tell the court anything that you'd like to mention. I said, I want to apologize to the district attorney for wasting his time. I want to apologize to the deputy district attorney for wasting his time. I'm sure that you guys spent as much time as I did. I want to apologize to the clerk of the court because there was some rough times at that front window where she wouldn't take my paperwork, and I may have seemed to be aggressive or upset, and I want to apologize for putting her into that position because she's nothing more than just doing her job, and she seems to be a very nice lady. And I said to the judge, I'd like to apologize to the judge for not knowing what statutory law is and for wasting the court's time. And I can guarantee you that I will never be in statutory law again as long as I live. Now, he took that one way, and I meant it another way. I will never allow another traffic ticket or another fine or another instance to be drug into statutory court or court of no record. And then I said to him, the reason why we're here is because of something that I felt in the very beginning of this traffic stop. I said, I was passing a truck that had sped up in a 2-lane going the same direction. And as that 2-lane narrowed down to 1 lane, he had sped up to almost 74 mile an hour in a 65. And the car coming at me was a highway patrolman with his radar on. And as I passed the truck, I had to speed up to about 75 to get around him to avoid an accident. And I said, and how I feel is that the government has stepped in and determined that I don't know what's the safest for the people in my car and that I should have kept it on 65 mile an hour.